So if I put it on there, it doesn't turn the mechanism like it's supposed to. It actually starts to move the entire center piece. And look at this. You see that? That is not good. All right, friends. So I have here the brand new DaYan ZhanChi Pro M. I just unboxed this week. I've been playing with it. I've done several hundred solves on it. And yeah, I've just been setting it up, and I've discovered some things that are not very favorable at all. That in fact for me might be deal breakers to not want to recommend this cube. So I wanted to bring those up so that you guys knew about it. When I opened this cube right out of the box, I was hoping it was going to feel like the ZhanChi that I was used to. And so it was very surprising to me that it felt almost identical to the TengYun V2 M, which is, as you know, the current flagship from DaYan. Well, I should say this is probably expected to be their new flagship, so the flagship right before this one. This puzzle does not feel anything like a ZhanChi to me. It feels almost identical to the TengYun V2. If I were to take the TengYun V2 and mix it with the Guhong V4, that's what this cube would feel like to me. The next two cons both come from the mechanism. So they basically redesigned the mechanism from the TengYun V2 from the ground up. However, it ends up doing the exact same thing. So you have this little screw that sits inside a plastic piece. So you can adjust the screw manually in the traditional way, or it has 4 preset settings that you can use either by hand or using the tool that they give you. So the TengYun did that, the V2 I should say. Then underneath that, it has this tensioning thing that's very similar to the Moyu ones, and it's the exact same thing that's in the TengYun. So all you have is the same end result as the TengYun V2, so I'm not quite sure why they redesigned it. And it actually only made it worse for 2 reasons. Here's why. The first reason is the inner mechanism that houses the centerpiece travel distance moves independently from the outer mechanism that helps you with tension. So it ends up rubbing plastic on plastic every time you make a turn. And if you can hear, it sounds like an old swing set, or maybe a little bit like nails on a chalkboard. So yeah, really, really annoying. By way of comparison, here's the TengYun V2. Both of those mechanisms stand independent of the turning of the cube, whereas, like you just saw, with this one, the tensioning system moves with the turning of the cube, while the centerpiece travel mechanism stays independent. So that effectively causes that outer red circle to be rubbing on the inner red piece the entire time. Now you could get lube in there, Vortex would probably work. It's just really annoying in a flagship to have a mechanism that accomplishes the same thing as the TengYun V2 M, but introduces this new weird noise that's not spring noise. It's even more annoying than spring noise. So a major con. All right, the second thing I want to say about this mechanism, and this is a really big deal, is that it simply does not function. The centerpiece travel distance portion of the mechanism works just fine. You can move it by hand or with the tool. I'm talking about the tensioning system on the outer ring. It literally does not turn. Let me find the tool real quick and show you what I'm talking about. Yeah, here it is. So I've already broken one of these. If you take this, you're supposed to be able to put the wider part of this tool. There's little grooves on it, if you can see, whoops. Those notches sit right on those 2 notches on the puzzle, just like that. And then it tells you in the instructions, and there's little arrows on the thing itself that say make sure that you turn it clockwise. So those little arrows that are shown here in white, those are actually on the puzzle. It'd probably be hard to see in this lighting. Anyway, so you're not supposed to turn counterclockwise. They're making that clear, very good. So you put the tool on and turn. I'm just gonna turn a little bit. You're gonna watch that it does not move at all. And it actually starts, whoops, the piece went flying. Let's try that again. So if I put it on there, it doesn't turn the mechanism like it's supposed to. it actually starts to move the entire center piece. Look at this. You see that? That is not good. And so I started doing that. Let me show you. Let me get these caps off. Yeah, so here on the yellow side, I don't know if you'll be able to see on camera, but it actually broke. The little tiny, so like those tabs that stick up that this tool is supposed to attach to, broke on this. And I did not give it very much force at all. They just snapped. And if I give any more force, it actually literally just turns on all of the sides, the entire center cap. So maybe I got a faulty one, but I've read the instructions and they're very straightforward. And so yeah, that's a huge con. The mechanism is noisy, like super noisy, like a swing set. And it doesn't, the external portion that's for tension doesn't even work. And if you try and twist it with any amount of force at all, it either breaks, so you'll never be able to use it again, or it moves the entire center piece all in the middle of the cube. So huge, huge cons there. Okay, before I just declare this cube an utter failure, I must say, if a person had only ever had the ZhanChi and now they're getting back into speed cubing, they've never even heard of the TengYun or tried it, and they just bought this. So they went from the 2010 ZhanChi to this. Obviously, they're going to say, wow, this is like the best speed cube ever made, right? So it does the ZhanChi name proud in that way. There's no doubt about it. It's a nice speed cube. It feels, again, it feels like a mix between the TengYun V2 M and the DaYan V4. So it's a nice feeling puzzle. Really, the only gripe is the mechanism. That new mechanism is not better. It doesn't work at all for tensioning, and it introduces, because they move independent of one another, it introduces some new awful noise. And then the last thing I'll say is price. The DaYan series has kind of been dancing in that like $15 range. Obviously the TengYun's like the mid 30s, and they launched this in the mid 30s. So yes, the TengYun V1, which is a little outdated now, but still fantastic, I think is in the mid 20s. So they already had a puzzle in the mid 20s, but I would have expected this to launch in the mid 20s, maybe even the like $20 range, you know, 15 to 20. So the fact that they're launching this right at the mid 30s, you know, with the right there with the TengYun V2, I think is a problem. Especially because it really frankly just feels like a reboot or a reiteration of the TengYun V2 more so than a reboot of the ZhanChi. So the price is too high for me. The mechanism, again, is not better. Mine already broke, and I haven't been able to get the tensioning to work at all, and it introduces this awful noise. However, if you just love ZhanChi, and you've always loved ZhanChi, and you want your puzzle to be called ZhanChi, this is called ZhanChi, and it is substantially better than any other ZhanChi ever made, without a doubt. So that's about all I have to say. Hope that's helpful. Happy cubing, y'all, and we'll see you guys soon.